Welcome to Teen ypww Lesson 2. Today's topic is working with entry-level experience. The lesson text is coming out of Judges chapter 7 and Judges chapter 8. The memory verse is Judges chapter 7, verse 15. I will read the King James Version first and then the New International Version. And it was so, when Gideon heard the telling of the dream and the interpretation thereof, that he worshipped and returned to the host of Israel and said, Arise, for the Lord hath delivered into your hand the host of Midian. The New International Version. When Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, he bowed down and worshipped. He returned to the camp of Israel and called out, Get up, the Lord has given the Midianite camp into your hands. The key for today's lesson. Sometimes it's okay when you don't know. The focus for today's lesson. Face every challenge with confidence. New hires on a job with no prior work experience face the daunting reality of learning everything about their new assignments. Most companies call these types of jobs entry-level positions. The newly hired person is dependent on their supervisors and training staff to learn the requirements of their job. It is okay that the new hire does not know everything about the job during the first week of work. The employer knows this and has a plan to get them ready to work efficiently. New employees should have a great attitude and confidence, looking forward to learning more about their new jobs. So teen listeners, please know that it is okay when you are at a work or in classroom situations and you don't know some things that you wish you did know. This knowledge deficit should motivate you to research and find out. Research mixed with prayer will enable you to find all the answers you desire. Our technology today enables us to search on the internet and find information about any subject instantaneously. Let's take advantage of every technical device that God has blessed us to have. Build your knowledge base. Increase your skills. This week we will take a glimpse at the life of Gideon. He had entry-level experience and then he was placed on the job. He was appointed the captain of the host of the army of Israel with no prior military experience. Gideon was trained on the job. He moved out with what he knew. He learned how to confidently rely on God for specific directions. He was a fast learner and his confidence was exuberant. Our lesson text, Judges chapter 7, starts with the wonderful story of how God directed Gideon to decrease his army from 22,000 men down to 300 men. Amazing. Our memory verse, Judges chapter 7, verse 15, is the result of a covert operation in which Gideon, at the direction of God, went to the enemy's camp and heard two men in the Midian camp discussing with each other a dream that one of them had the night before. The interpretation of the dream that these men determined overwhelmed Gideon. The discussion of these men gave him the confirmation knowledge that he needed to complete his assignment. Gideon went back to his camp to prepare the army of Israel for battle. His plan for battle is given in Judges chapter 7, verses 16 through 18. The actual battle is described in Judges chapter 7, verses 19 through 25, and Judges chapter 8, verses 1 through 13. Gideon and his 300 men fought and killed over 20,000 men in the Midian army. In this battle, we see the negotiation skills of Gideon as his army moved throughout the enemy territories. By capturing and killing the two kings of Midian, the army of Israel wins. Like Gideon, we must learn to trust God to be successful in the assignments that He has given us to complete. Don't allow the newness of assignments, classes, and jobs to overwhelm you. The four other important characteristics that are shown in Gideon's life for our lesson for this week is that number 1, he did not quench the spirit. Number 2, he prayed. Number 3, he worshiped. Number 4, he had spiritual discernment. In our lesson scriptures, we learned that the Spirit of the Lord would come upon Gideon at various intervals. Gideon always welcomed the presence of God. Gideon was a praying man. He was not afraid to ask God to show me again. He asked God for clarity, directions, and repeat confirmations. He even apologized for one of the prayer requests he made, thinking that it may have been too much to ask God. And that's Judges chapter 6, verse 39. However, God just answered him in the exact manner that he requested. God lets us know through this passage that it is okay to ask him again and again for clear directives for our lives. Wow, what a kind God we have. Gideon had the gift of spiritual discernment. Our lesson text declares his gifting in this area as well. He could perceive good and evil in the hearts of men. Lastly, Gideon was a worshiper. He was not ashamed to worship God anytime or anywhere, even in the enemy's camp. Gideon worshiped and offered praises unto God. Gideon was successful and reigned over the peace of Israel for 40 years after the defeat of the Midianites. The questions for today's lesson: number 1, what does the phrase "fake it until you make it" mean? Is this mindset biblical? Number 2, making decisions without the knowledge you desire can sometimes be stressful. What are some other ways we can experience success in times like these? Number 3, what is some advice you would offer the new students on your school's campus? The end. God bless you and thank you for joining me today.